It's common knowledge that foldable phones are expensive, right? I mean, who wants to pay $1,800 for this? But what if I could tell you that you could find a foldable phone for less than $300? Sure, you might have to trade some of the higher end features, but this phone, this Galaxy Z Flip, was less than $300 on eBay. Now, granted, it's not the greatest, most modern experience. The processor is not as fast as most modern processors. But if you're looking to just experience what a foldable phone is like, then this could be a great entry point. This is NOISO, and this is a look back at the Galaxy Z Flip. It's not a surprise that older Samsung phones are cheap. They have a tendency to depreciate a lot faster than, say, iPhones. But it's still surprising that foldable phones that have a tendency to start at very, very high price points can be had for substantially lower prices. This one in particular is the original Galaxy Z Flip, but if you wanted a more modern phone like the Galaxy Z Flip 3, you might be able to find it refurbished for less than $400 or maybe even $500, which is still a lot less than a brand new Galaxy Z Flip 4 for 1,000. So there are other options here, but I wanted to look specifically just at this one, just so you can get a taste of if you happen to have some $200 or $300 lying around and you haven't gotten the chance to use a foldable yet, this might be a good option. I actually still like the design of the original Galaxy Z Flip, probably even more so than my Flip 4. The fact is this kind of curved edge design just is no longer popular in modern smartphones, which is why we see the Galaxy S22 series, the Z Fold and Z Flip series, and the iPhones all going towards a flat edge design. It was probably pioneered by the iPhone 12, but I prefer the fact that this kind of nicely curves into my hands. This phone still has incredibly great ergonomics, and it still fits well in one hand, despite the fact that it's quite a bit taller than a lot of other smaller phones or phones its size. Now, the design does kind of bring back memories of the Galaxy S10 series, so it's not quite as premium or modern, or the camera module doesn't like seamlessly blend into the frame like the Galaxy S21 series, but that's okay. This is still a pretty phone and still fully glass, even though this model in specific is black, and so there are incredibly, incredibly glossy fingerprints all over the device whenever I touch it. Now, if you happen to be a fan of my channel a few years ago, which chances are you weren't, it was a lot smaller channel back then, you would know that I've had an unfortunate history with the original Galaxy Z Flip, and I happened to drop a pair of pliers on the phone, which caused a tiny little pixel to go out and be dead. That was very, very early in my use, and considering it was a $1,000 purchase at the time, it was devastating and very, very frustrating. I was actually featured on a Mr. Mobile video where I talked about that experience, which was kind of cool. He's a great guy. Mr. Mobile, or Michael Fisher, is an incredible guy. Now, looking back, it was not all that big of a deal. Durability on foldable phones is still a big concern. And if you look on eBay for a foldable phone, chances are you will see a lot of models that have durability issues from phones that have broken. But you'll have a spectrum. Here, with this model in specific, there's a dead pixel in the middle of the screen, very similar to my original Z Flip. This is not the original Z Flip because I had that one repaired. But there's just a single dead pixel or two that doesn't actually mar the experience. Some of the foldable devices, especially the Z Flips, have a tendency to crack along the center of the folded glass, and that is a lot more obvious and a lot more damaging to the experience. But I've seen a lot of people who have broken screens on their Galaxy phones and their iPhones, and they continue to use their device just underneath a screen protector or something like that. And this is a better experience than that is, considering all of the cracks happen at a lower level, and so you don't actually notice the cracks on the surface. And those dead pixels don't mar my viewing experience at all. Now, granted, this is an older display, so it's not going to have the crispness and brightness of most modern displays. I will say that this phone still doesn't get very bright to be able to see in broad daylight, but now that North America is moving over into wintertime and will have a lot less daylight, that won't bother me as much. I still think that this display is good enough for most people in that it's clear, it's fast, it's bright, it's colorful, And it's big, considering you have extra screen real estate because of the height of the Galaxy Z Flip. Despite its age, the Galaxy Z Flip has aged pretty well in terms of performance. I didn't notice this having a lot of slowdowns, even though it was significantly technically slower than my Galaxy S22 series that I was using through most of the year, or the Galaxy Z Flip 4 that I'm in the process of reviewing. The real two downsides that I saw while using this device are in the camera and the battery life. Let's start with the latter. The battery life of this phone was typically about 3.5 hours of screen on time, which is comparable to my iPhone 13 mini or iPhone 12 mini, for example. That is not enough for me. And maybe if I could somehow find a way to get the battery replaced, though it would be an extra bit of money, that might help the battery life for me. I think if I wasn't using the phone for watching YouTube videos or watching Netflix movies all that much, then the phone would easily last throughout an entire day with maybe about 20 to 30% screen or battery life remaining when I went to bed. But instead, if I watched a whole bunch of YouTube, probably more than I should, then unfortunately I would have to charge sometime during the day, which it's sad and frustrating to go back to after a few years of better and better battery life performance on most phones. The cameras have also seen better days. Now, granted, at the time, the Galaxy Z Flip took great pictures, and if you have, for example, maybe an iPhone 11, should probably be comparable to it. But instead, if you're looking into some modern phone like the Galaxy S22 or the Pixel 6a or the iPhone 13, or iPhone 14, this is going to be a significant step down. There's two primary lenses, the main and the wide angle, which both are, I think, 12 megapixel, but they take fine photos. Like, it's not going to be all that bad. It's not going to be like a photo from 2015, but it's just going to fall behind compared to most major flagships and even mid-range phones like, say, the Pixel 5a, for example. If you want to get into foldables, then this is not a bad option to cut your teeth, but I hope that it doesn't turn you off to foldables in the future because of its shortcomings, and there are shortcomings. If you want a good foldable phone that you can still get for a reasonable price point, I'd say the Galaxy Z Flip 3 is an incredible device that will still stand up very, very well. And if you can get like a 90-day or a 1-year warranty on it, just in case it has some durability issues, that will give you some peace of mind. Now, granted, you're probably going to be paying $500 for that, but I will say that in my mind, that foldable device is better than most standard candy bar phones that you get at a $600, $700 price point. If I had to choose between a Galaxy Z Flip 3 and, say, maybe an iPhone 13 or 14, I'd probably choose a Galaxy Z Flip 3, but notably I am an Android fan. This will probably be the last video where I take a look at the Galaxy Z Flip, unless they happen to be around in 10 years and I'm doing a 10-year anniversary review, similarly to the way that I've been doing a Microsoft Surface RT anniversary review, which you should check out on the channel if you have any interest in Microsoft Surface devices. Until that 10-year review, I'm just going to have to say goodbye to this incredible pioneer of modern smartphone technology and cross my fingers that the Galaxy Z Flip 10 will be just as innovative as the original Galaxy Z Flip. Until then, I will catch you in the next one. See ya.